Are you looking just to build maximal strength? Watch this.
Our next caller is Christopher from Hawaii.
Christopher, what's happening?
Hi, good morning, gentlemen. How's it?
Good. How's it going?
All right.
Going well. Thank you for taking time out of your busy lives and schedule to answer my question today. I'll go ahead and jump right into my first question. After running through MAPS Powerlift, would it be beneficial to run through it again to put up bigger numbers on the bar? So the context for this question is my current goal is to see how high I can get my big 5 lifts, my squat, deadlift, bench press, overhead press, barbell row. I haven't done purely strength-based program to maximize my big lifts in a long time. For the past few years, my programming's been focused and based on a combination of performance, hypertrophy, and 5x5 style training. I'm pretty happy with where I am physically in my current fitness, but now I want to see how purely strong I can get. I know that running through MAPS Powerlift won't make me as strong as I can be one time around. Would you suggest going through it again a second time, or would you suggest a protocol of transitioning into MAPS Strong and or performance before returning to Powerlift? And question 1.5 to that would be, how would you incorporate isometric training into Powerlift?
Oh, good questions. All right, so I need to ask you a little bit for more information before I give you the right answer. Do you have any nagging joint pain or aches and pains after following MAPS Performance, or do you feel pretty? Yeah, how do you feel?
No, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good after running MAPS Performance. I definitely felt it was definitely different than what I was used to running.
No, I meant MAPS Powerlift. Sorry, correction. How do you feel after running MAPS Powerlift? Do you feel any imbalances or anything like that? Because that'll.
So yeah, absolutely. Good question. I'm currently running through it. The first time I just finished phase 1, I'm just moving into phase 2, where the volume is going to start ramping up.
Okay.
Well, the truth is then we're going to be able to give you a better answer at the end of this, because where Sal's going, and Justin was going to do the same thing, which is the same thing I would have done. Because here's the thing, running it back to back, absolutely could be fine. But the things that I would want to know after you get done is how you feel. And that Sal's alluding to potential imbalances. Justin was going to say something about aches and pains, because these are the things that you typically start to notice when you're running like a 5x5 or just the core lifts. You're working mainly in the sagittal plane all the time, and you're pressing heavy weight. What tends to happen is your joints start talking to you after a while. That it's like, ooh, it's time for me to maybe focus on a little bit of mobility or move in different planes of motion, or maybe isometrics or unilateral training. So it's hard for us to probably give you your best answer since you're just starting powerlift. Really, that's what you need to assess at the end. You technically could run it back to back and be awesome. It could be and be totally fine. But I wouldn't want you to do that if I asked the questions that Sal and Justin were starting to ask you. And you were answering me like, yeah, my elbow is feeling a little, rough a little bit, or I noticed I've got this little shift in
little knee pain.
Yeah, so that's what we'd be looking for after running that. Now, if you come out of powerlift and you're like, I feel the best I've ever felt in my life, I'm hitting PRs, no joints, no achiness, no low back pain, no nothing going on, shit, run it back.
Yeah, and you might very well feel that way, because you said earlier in your question that you focused, before doing powerlift, you did a lot of performance based workouts. So you might just feel afterwards phenomenal and continue on with another round of powerlift.
Especially since this is your goal. I mean, the specificity of it and really like teaching your body how to maximize these lifts and get better at the mechanics and, generating force. Like that's something that you can continually get better at with reps. So it just really amounts to, if you do notice any of these kind of imbalances and aches and pains and things, to jump into something like, I would even say something like symmetry, to really address, and then go right back to powerlift after that.
Yeah, and by the way, there's nothing wrong, and I don't often say this, but let's say you did powerlift and then you said, I feel okay, I feel good, let me try it again. Then halfway through, you're like, oh, I'm noticing some hip pain. Nothing wrong with stopping it and going to a program like MAPS Symmetry. So, and I typically don't recommend that because people have an issue jumping from program to program. Typically, I say follow all the way through. But in this particular circumstance, there's nothing wrong with, second round, halfway through, noticing some of the stuff, and then doing a program like Symmetry or Performance that will help balance you out. Because ultimately, that's what's going to lead to the bigger numbers. An imbalance or pain is going to, obviously that's going to crush your strength. You're not going to be able to get as strong as you can if you've got movement pattern issues and aches and pains.
Absolutely. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
And then the part with isometrics, isometrics are a great way to prime
Especially
your
with
workouts.
sticking points too.
And sticking point. I mean, really, before your workout, 5 to 10 minutes of isometrics is great. Or you
Perfect way
can
to prime.
Yeah, so MAPS Prime will be great. And there's, the correctional exercise in there are isometric based, a lot of them. Or when you're going through power lift, especially the second time around, if you notice that your squat gets stuck at the bottom, there's nothing wrong with pausing a squat at the bottom for 3 to 5 seconds, which is kind of an isometric hold. Just kind of work through different sticking points. But I mean, the best way to implement them for most people is 5 to 10 minutes before your workout.
Yeah, I like to. I use the in the program it has written to do, like say on squat day, the squat primer, and at the end do the post primers. I'm doing that, and I also have Prime so that I use on my rest and recovery days. So I definitely feel feel good stuff from that. So I'll just kind of I guess add some use some of the isometric holds and stuff. Stay at the beginning to get more muscle fiber recruitment and CNS activation.
Awesome. And then are you, so you're phase 1, right? Or you just finished phase 1? Are you,
I just finished phase. I'm just moving into phase 2.
All right. How's your strength changes so far in phase 1?
So far they've come up a little bit. Not, I've been lifting for 20 years. So, but they have still gone up a couple pounds more than I have expected, at least. So that's a good sign. I've also been eating at a caloric surplus. I'm not restricting calories or anything like that, just to make sure that I have enough strength and energy, and that I have the ability to put on the muscle that I need to put on while I'm running the program.
Nice.
Yeah, after 20 years of training, that's pretty good. It's hard to get stronger if you've been working out that long.
It sounds like you're doing really good, man. Yeah. And honestly, run it back again if you feel great afterwards. But just, the things that we are talking about, really be honest with yourself when afterwards. And if you notice those things, that might mean take a break, go to Symmetry for that program, and then come back. But if you feel great, there's nothing wrong with you running back.
We'll send Symmetry to you if you don't have it, okay, Christopher?
Oh, I appreciate that.
You got it, man.
And I actually have just another quick side question, not as big of a deal, but I noticed through a couple of your programs, so for instance, performance and powerlift, you have walking lunges. So my question for that is, do the programs ask or kind of call for the lunge to be the total number of lunges or the total number of lunges for each side? Because the weight that I choose will greatly differ depending on if that's the total number that I'm going to be going or the total number that I'm going to be doing for each side.
Yeah. If you're walking lunges, it's total. If it's like front step or back step lunges, it's per leg.
Alternating. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're walking, it's total reps.
Okay. Yeah. I wasn't sure if the programs were written with a specific in mind, or if it was just depending on my goal, or if it was lifter's preference or what. So,
all right, man. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, it's been an honor and a pleasure. Thanks for answering my question today. And I think we could definitely use a little bit more in the world of what you gentlemen have to offer. So my wife and I both enjoy your programs and your podcast. So thank you very much for what you do.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You got it. Yeah, that's the question, because I get stuck in this.
Well, great questions, just ahead of himself.
Totally.
Yeah. So it's the stuff. Both of you were going in the direction I think we all were going to go.
Yeah.
And if he can't answer that yet, then we can't really answer that, because all the programs. I mean, I guess it's a good time to address this, right? We phase all the programs, and so you technically could run a program back to back.
Yep.
And be okay. But you just have to be aware of what program you're running and what things that it may be lacking. And, a program like Powerlift, incredible for getting really strong at a couple lifts, but really lacks different planes. It lacks unilateral work. It lacks anti-rotation stuff. I mean, there's a lot of things that it lacks for general health. And depending on your goal, it's probably advantageous for you to move through different programs unless you have a very specific goal.
Well, that's the thing. If you have a specific goal, nothing's going to be better than working on that continuously, but have to check yourself on whether or not your body's responding the way it should. And that's where you would tend to have to go into a different type of adaptation to kind of fill that need.